going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Monday, October 4th, 2021. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back and happy Monday. It isn't just any Monday, it's Olympia Week Monday. So I figured that we might as well kick off the biggest week of the year with a new update from one of the biggest names in the industry right now, Hadi Choopan. This clip is from a back training session last week where Hadi and his team tried to carve in a few last-minute details to a physique that already looks like it's been chiseled out of granite. Anyone who's been paying attention of our coverage or interviews from people like Dennis James has already heard the buzz surrounding Hadi being, well, considered the #1 title contender to challenge Big Ramy. But even if he's at his best, the real question is, will that be enough to stop Winter dead in its tracks? Because if it's not, then it's bad news for everyone else in the lineup. It doesn't matter what team sport you're into. If you're a die-hard fan who follows your sport throughout the season and into the playoffs, you know that there's always one team who comes out of nowhere because they got hot at the right time. And then all of a sudden, they're knocking off higher seeds left and right before anyone can even figure out what happened. And even though bodybuilding isn't a team sport, there might be a chance that we see something like that happen in Classic Physique this weekend if Robert Timms can get it going. After taking more than 2 full years off, he basically came out of nowhere to win the Texas Pro. And because he was so dominant in that win, there was a lot of talk after the show about him being someone who could potentially challenge Chris Bumstead for the title this year. For the most part, we don't see that come from out of nowhere story in bodybuilding very often the way we do in other sports. But there's always an exception to the rule. And for all we know this year, Robert Timms might be that exception. Sometimes I think younger generations have a tendency to overlook the value of experience that older generations bring to the table. Because in a lot of situations, knowing what to do because you've walked through a fire 1,000 times before ends up being the deciding factor between success and failure or winning and losing. And as far as experience on the 212 stage is concerned, there aren't many people who've walked through the fire more times in their career than Kamal Elgargni. Despite the fact that he's coming into this year's contest as an underdog, the truth of the matter is that Kamal's been here before. He knows what it means to be overlooked, and he's also the only person in the lineup not named Sean Clarita who knows what it feels like to sit at the top of the Olympia division. He's experienced everything that competing in this division has to offer. And when it's all said and done, it would be naive to think that all of that won't play a huge role into how things ultimately play out this weekend. I know that everyone is focused on the Olympia this weekend and all of the different events leading up to it, as they should be. But before we get out of here today, we did want to give you a quick update on the Legion Sports Fest, which is coming up later this month, because it looks like that'll be the next stop on the Sergio Oliva Jr. 2021 tour. Last Monday, Sergio went on Instagram to give his fans a recap of his weekend and what it was like at the Arnold Classic. And during that interview, he also announced that he intended to compete 3 weeks from now at the Legion, which is a good idea because he can get an early qualification for next year. He's hoping to secure his first win of the season as well. Even though things didn't quite work out the way he had hoped they would in Columbus, having 3 weeks to make adjustments should give him plenty of time to do what he needs to do to get himself firing on all cylinders, because once he gets it going, he'll be a handful for everyone else in that lineup to deal with. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.